Hi folks, we're just coming into June and the second season of our no-dig market garden. We've been super busy as always, so looking forward to showing you around. So starting off here in this patch, this is now 2-year-old no-dig. It started off in 2020 as spud drills. It was pasture before that. And last year, in 2021, I put down cardboard, compost on the beds and wood chip in the paths. We got some great harvests out of here last year, but this year the beds are just looking amazing. It's just really given all the worms and life in the soil a chance to restructure it, and I had a lot of problems with thistles last year and there's a lot less this year since I kept on top of them. We didn't let anything go to seed. It's just been amazing. Second year no dig. So to go over quickly, what I have here is carrots, spinach that's just starting to bolt, some little gem lettuce and iceberg lettuce down there, parsley, kohlrabi, chard which is starting to bolt, and it shouldn't be. I think it might be because I've put them a bit too close together in clumps. Here we have 3 varieties of kale. Here, mixed leaf lettuce, it's a bit cleaning up. Mange 2. Here we have scallions and dill at the bottom. Cauliflower and Romanesco, cabbage, more little gems and iceberg lettuces, mixed leaf lettuce coming on and scallions, and more mixed leaf radishes that have just bolted. That's what's left of the purple sprouting broccoli from last year. More cauliflower there, cabbage and broccoli under there, and the asparagus that I grew from seed last year. On the borders I have parsley from last year starting to go to seed, which is good for beneficial insects. We have black currants, chives, lavender there in the shade, chamomile, yostaberry, lots of nasturtiums, calendula, goji berries, 5 goji berries there, more chamomile, that's a cherry tree. There we have woodworm, which is good for attracting or distracting the aphids. Some sweet pea at the back, more lavender, dill which I'll let go to seed. It's an umbellifer, so good for beneficial insects when it's in flower. Coriander, more calendula and French marigold, gooseberries, and down here I have the blueberries, which are on limestone ground. So you can see that I have berries. I'm not too sure if they'll ripen well. We'll see how it goes. It's a bit of an experiment. So here in the new tunnel, things are starting to come together. It's starting to look like a summer tunnel. We have 3 types of tomatoes here, which we're off to a bit of a rocky start, but they're starting to push on now. The ground is very compacted in here. I noticed when we were putting in the tomatoes that it had actually gone anaerobic. The ground was smelly and even a little bit blue when we were digging. So I didn't broad fork this, but I did do it for the peppers because of how badly compacted it was in here due to the donkeys being in here on this ground all winter with wet clay and compaction happening that way. I usually don't broad fork, but in this case I think it probably would have helped. In here we have a lot of couch grass. It grows nearly by the hour, so that's something that I have to keep on top of. We've also had a lot of aphid problems this year with a very mild winter, so the aubergines have been covered in aphids, as well as the peppers and the tomatoes when they were getting started. I seem to have handled it mostly on the tomatoes using soap, water, and just going by hand and crushing them. So I'm hoping that isn't going to be too much of a problem for the rest of the year. We put courgettes in last week, peppers, aubergines, cucumbers, and everything is on drip. So now coming out at the bottom of the tunnel, this is first year no dig. These are new beds, and again the ground is fairly compacted out here. I'm getting a lot of pressure from thistles, buttercups, nettles. Probably should have used more cardboard on this bit. I used a bit more on that and less pressure from the weeds. I still need to set up a water system out here, but it's going okay for now. And by next year, this will be similar to what's up there. So that's 25 meter beds up there and 25 meter beds here and 15 in the Polytunnel. And that's the main market garden. And we'll see 30 more beds on the out farm later on. So coming into the food forest now, that oak is starting to look nice. Medlars on the medlar tree. The beauty of Bath apple is taller than I am, and I have apples coming on. All of these trees went in last year in March or December. We have 5 different types of apples, 2 pears, 2 plums, 4 different cob nuts, and other beneficial trees such as alder, heliagnus, elder, crab apples, willow and hazel. This part in here is fenced off from the ducks. I have corn, root parsley, a strawberry tree there. This is alder, good King Henry, which has gone to seed all over the place. It's also known as poor man's asparagus, and it's an edible green, which is perennial. Here I have Portuguese kale, tree spinach, skirret and sorrel, and wild rocket down there, perpetual spinach, some lavender here, rosemary, fennel, a cherry tree which is planted on top of our old rooster who died. Leggy Kelly was his name. And this is hedge mustard. This path here behind the duck pond is starting to get swallowed by everything that we planted into it last year. I have lots of foxgloves, chamomile, green globe artichokes that are starting to flower. Down here, garlic chives, oregano, strawberries. This is an alder. There's a crab apple tree over there, an elder. There's the artichoke flowers. And the duck pond is looking very sad. I need to put in more shade on that side of it. I think most of the water that's coming out of it is going up rather than down at the moment. I want to dig out all that silt that is gathered in the bottom of it. It used to be a lot deeper, and I'll probably spread bentonite clay to try and seal it a bit, and definitely plant more over there to shade it. It's done. As we come in here now to the main herb garden closest to the house, you can see that this place has really taken off in the past 2 years. We dug this pond in 2020 and it gets no care. I let leaves fall into this during the autumn and I never take out any algae or anything like that. There is a lot of algae that comes on it during the summer, but there's still clear patches and I don't worry too much about it. I put in this elder tree as a sapling and it's really taken over. It's giving lots of shade to the pond and there's just a lot of life in there now. People ask if I would put fish into it, and I definitely wouldn't, because they'll eat tadpoles if frogs do eventually come and lay their eggs in it. The lilies are just about to come up. I can see one or two just coming up under the water there now. This part of the garden does get nicely shaded during the midday with this 25-year-old horse chestnut and the birch trees there. We've all this patch that's gone to wildflower, of foxgloves, hollyhock. This is a nice little black walnut tree. Plenty of herbs out here. We've got chives, sage, oregano, parsley, lavender, yarrow, lemon balm, fennel, comfrey, nasturtiums, and the few veg crops that I put in left over from the market garden are doing well. I have beetroot, lettuce, onions, coriander and spinach, just left over from the market garden, and I put them in here just to fill the gaps. This 10-year-old little polytunnel is home to some heat-loving greens this year. We have amaranth and water spinach, basil, some calendula on the borders, nasturtiums. Here I have three sisters, beans, corn and squash. That spinach there is just bolting and it's about to come out, but we've gotten 5 or 6 harvests out of that, so it's been really productive and we've been selling that in our farm stand. Scallions over there, and there'll be more successions of amaranth and water spinach to go in here. Then out the back here, we have 4 more beds: celery, dill, parsley, more dill, scallions, and 2 successions of coriander there. One has just come out and you just have to keep on cropping that because it goes to seed so fast during the summer. Again, this spot is pretty shaded during the midday, so it's just leafy greens and onions that do well in here. I wouldn't put any broccoli or cauliflower or anything like that that needs a lot of sun in this part of the garden. Back in March of this year, we converted most of this lawn to more wildflower space. And it's just been really interesting seeing what's come up. There's actually very little grass in it. There's just a ton of forget-me-nots, buttercups, there were daisies earlier on. I've planted in more calendula in these islands that I made out of compost and cardboard. So up here in the art farm, the garlic is starting to bulb out and should be ready to go pretty soon. Onions are doing well. Early potatoes, they're Charlotte's coming up pretty well. The beetroot is starting to bulb out as well. I now have 26 out of the 30 beds that I plan to do up here at the start of the year. These 8 new beds I didn't do with string and measuring stick as I usually do. I just eyed it and they seem to have turned out all right. These are just for winter squash, so they're just single rows, so it doesn't have to be too exact like with salads. And time is really of the essence at this point, and I just needed to get these in here really fast. Everything up here is mostly relying on rainwater. I've watered it all once, and I've spent about an hour weeding in the entirety this year up here because just the black polythene silage tarp has just done such a great job. There's very few weeds coming up, a few bits here and there that had to be pulled up, but it's just been minimal effort up here, so I'm really happy with how it's turned out. The main crop spuds are looking well. They're all up. We have 500 square meters with records and roosters, which we saved seed from last year, and 2 blight resistant varieties this year, Sevilla and Roosevelt. There's a good bit of grass here, but we've been ridging it up and trying to keep on top of that. But I think at this stage the spuds are outdoing the grass, so looking forward to a lot of spuds this year. Back in December last year, Kay and myself planted a load of native trees down this southern border. We have oaks, birches, bird cherries, alders, crab apples, hazel, willow, rowan, a huge variety of stuff. And they were mulched with wool, which has been doing kind of an alright job of suppressing the grass, but it could probably do with a bit more now that we're coming into June and the grass is really putting the pressure on the trees. But they still, I don't even think that they're putting pressure on the trees. We'd probably get away without the wool at this stage, without more wool. But yeah, you can start to see this developing into a nice little shaded forest, and looking forward to how this is going to look in 20 years' time. So that's all, folks. If you have any questions, be sure to comment down below and I'll definitely get back to you. If you're enjoying the videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel and give us a like. It really helps us out. But yeah, thanks for watching and see you next time.